I've got, I don't know if you can see them. I got goosebumps. Um, and so I've got a special guest, Joanna Popper, who is the global head of virtual reality for location-based entertainment and other things for HP. She's a world traveler. She's a media expert. She's got a ton of experience in a bunch of stuff that we're going to be talking about. And we want to get your questions too. So Joanna, welcome.
Great to be here, Bob. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Not as excited as I am.
Legendary Bob Cooney.
Infamous, you posted.
Yeah, well, now I changed it to legendary. You're both infamous and legendary. You can be both.
I like infamous. It's from the Three Amigos, the infamous El Guapo. Infamous means more than.
Now you're trying to get me to call you Guapo. Is that what's happening?
El Guapo. I've been playing. The gyms are closed, and so I've been doing virtual reality fit exercise, and I've been playing Thrill of the Fight, and I beat the champion, and I made Kylie call me champ for 24 hours.
And did she?
She did, actually. She played along. So we're
played along. She's good sport. Good sport.
She humors me. Thanks so much for being here. Where are you now? What's going on in your world?
I'm in Miami. I've been here since March 6th, so it's been a few days. I actually live in Los Angeles, but I'm sheltered in place and writing it all out in Miami, which is great. You know, we have great. I don't go outside all that much, but we do have a beautiful view and good weather, so it's a good place to be.
Cool. So I just want to let everybody know you can chat. I'm getting all the chat questions from the platforms. We're streaming live to Twitter via Periscope. We're on 3 Facebook pages. We're on Twitch. And so if you're watching on any of those,
can't miss us.
We were going to be live on YouTube, but I got a copyright violation strike, so I'm not allowed to live stream on YouTube for 60 more days. But hopefully we'll be back on YouTube soon. YouTube's a bit picky about what you stuff. I'm still learning all about that. But if you're on my Facebook group, make sure you put your name in the message, because the Restream platform for some reason doesn't pick up the name of the user, so you just show up as user. And let us know where you're watching from. Last show we had people from Europe and Australia. We had 4 continents watching the show at the same time, which is amazing. And so Joanna, you've been traveling the world until March 6th, I guess.
Yeah, until March 6th, I was traveling the world, exactly.
And you're probably the only person I know that's seen more VR than I have on a global basis. And not that other people haven't, I just don't know them. And so how has this affected you, like this lockdown and not being able to travel first, as somebody who's like, how many days were you on the road last year?
A lot, yeah. I mean, I would probably traveled, I would say 50% of the time.
Okay. So how has it affected you?
Yeah, well, first I would just start just by saying, like, I'm extremely grateful for my situation. You know, I have the ability to work remotely. I have the ability to stay connected. I first and foremost, like, I'm so grateful to all the healthcare workers, the essential care workers, all of those putting their lives on the line and just being such tremendous heroes. The government officials who are figuring everything out and taking care of us all. And doing what's best, and with the knowledge they have, and in this unprecedented and constantly changing time. First and foremost, so grateful for all of their service and how the lives that they're saving every day.
I want to say something about that too, which is that you used a key term with the best information they have, or the best things they know. And this thing is really emerging. I talk a lot about being emergent, and you have to make the best decisions each day going forward. We all have to do that. And so be a little forgiving and gentle with people who are making what look like at the time or in hindsight bad decisions, because I do think everybody's got the best interest of the community in their hearts right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, the number one intention is that we're safe and we're healthy and our lives are saved. I think that's what's driving the majority, what's driving hopefully most nearly all of the decision making, and then of course after that there's the economic impact, the economic effect. And that has clearly been impacting so many people, and it had a huge impact in the location-based entertainment market, of course, and not specifically for virtual reality, but just in the broader location-based entertainment market. And so, this is already a group of entrepreneurs that have, are so imaginative and innovative and agile and flexible and taking such big risks already, working with emerging technology, working with emerging content, working, to build out retail operations, so it's already
business models. They're making up business models that didn't exist, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so already such a great group of idealist and innovative and creative people that form this industry, and certainly prior to this happening wouldn't have foreseen it, and now they're having to figure out again with the information that we have what's the best step for each individual company, and how to survive, and how to survive, how to thrive, how to move forward, and how to prepare for what's coming next.
Yeah, and I think entrepreneurs are inherently resilient, and I'm constantly amazed and encouraged by the resilience I'm seeing in the location-based VR community specifically too, where and like a few people have pulled the ripcord, but for the most part, everybody's like really like hunkering down and thinking about what they can do differently and how they're going to emerge out of this, and they're taking the downtime to change things and to improve and redesign and reposition, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing. There's companies that are lucky enough to have a decent runway, right? That they're like working on their content, working on their business model, fixing and improving any technology that they need to do at this time. There's companies in those situations. There's other companies that are preparing for the future, thinking about how if they're content developers, how do they also repurpose some of the content for at home, where that we're seeing a surge in. There's other companies. I know you had Brad and Shiraz, on from Spaces that are rethinking their model and leaning into the VR collaboration tools with all of the skill sets that they have. It also depends on what country you're in, what are the resources that are available to entrepreneurs in that company. We don't know yet what the dates are going to be for reopening for most places, and what the sort of the regulations are going to be. So there's a lot to still to see, but I do see the people in our industry. People wouldn't be in our industry if they weren't sort of idealist, optimistic, future people that are very focused on the future and very have that degree of agility and flexibility that I think will serve them in times like this.
Yeah, totally. And I've been thinking about VR arcades were concerned, especially the what we'll call traditional, if you can have tradition in this industry, right? Where you have the the booths, the 10 by 10 booths where people would go in and play. And like, if you think about it, those are built for social isolation. And they were concerned about places like Dave & Buster's and family entertainment centers adding VR and things like Hologate and Minority Media and these and Rabbids and these things, but those places are going to really be struggling now to get back open because they have to figure out social isolation rules. VR arcades are inherently socially isolated, and so I'm wondering, like, they might be the first locations in the entertainment industry that are actually kind of allowed to reopen within whatever rules and structures that happen. It's going to be fascinating to watch how that, like, all of a sudden the worm might turn and they might be on top.
It's possible. Yeah, I think there's and I don't think it's going to be uniform either, right? I think that it will depend on different, it will be different in different cities. It'll be different in different countries.
Yeah.
Probably there'll be some level of lobbying and other that comes into play. And then of course once we're open, and then once things do open, we also have to track what is the impact of those openings, and is it positively, are there negative repercussions, or are things going along well?
Yeah, how do the people feel? How do the consumers feel about going out? And I'm already seeing like theaters in Texas and Georgia are being told they can open, and the theater owners are like, I don't think we're ready yet. We haven't figured out our procedures. We have to train our employees. We don't want to endanger our customers. So there's this really interesting tension between the governments and the business owners, and then will consumers want to come back? And I know, I just saw a friend of mine posted last night. She's looking forward to going to her favorite Mexican restaurant, which is opening this weekend in Texas. And on her Facebook feed, a lot of people are like, oh, I wouldn't go out yet. And so it's gonna take some time to see how those trends play out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and also, you know, some level of like what are the testing, whether it's, you know, testing the incidences, testing for antibodies. You know, there's just a lot still that we're gonna see how that all rolls out.
Let's talk about hygiene.
It's kind of like the re-entry. You know, the re-entry. We're gonna have a lot of learnings, you know, as a society about the re-entry.
No doubt about that. Now let's talk a little bit about hygiene, because, you know, I think that's part of reopening arcades is going to be, you know, how do you deal with hygiene? And there was some narrative around hygiene and headsets before this happened. How do you think this is going to impact people's view of putting on headsets in public, and what are you guys doing, if anything, to educate, inform, tools for operators that, you know, need to manage hygiene around public VR?
Yeah, I think you know, we always had you know, obviously had clear directions on how to manage hygiene with our headsets. I think so that, you know, that's clear. I think, you know, companies like Cleanbox obviously are doing really well, and other companies in that line. I think, you know, there's going to be a lot more interest and there already has been a lot more interest for companies like that. You know, in terms of the way that you welcome people in and the videos that you show, there's probably, you know, more communication around hygiene from the venues to the consumers, and so being clear about how they're treated. I mean, in a way, you know, like if I think about it, it's a very different market, but something like the nail salons, you know, you watch somebody take some of the equipment out of a UV little, you know, almost looks like a mini bar or refrigerator. You watch them take it out. You watch them open up a new packet that has been cleaned, and then, you know, use it on you for the first time. So there's probably some things like that we can do here.
Yeah.
You know, there's markets like Asia where they are, you know, and these wouldn't probably be. You probably need measures that are more intense than this, but, you know, they always had those funny masks that they would brand. And if you walked around VR arcades in Asia, people would be wearing them all the time.
Yeah.
We didn't really have that in other parts of the world. So I think, you know, we'll see more of that, but, you know, taking it up, you know, a couple more levels too. And then even, you know, just on the hardware side is, you know, as we think about making sure that the material that the hardware is made from is something that is easily cleanable, and, you know, that makes the audiences feel comfortable.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So you guys have announced or teased a new headset, the Reverb 2. Before we get to that, the Reverb 1 kind of has a bit of a cloth material on the outside. Is that something that people need to be concerned about, or is it, you know, because I've read that it actually doesn't survive on soft cloth materials, but I don't know if that's true or not. And do you guys have an official position on that?
Well, I would say, I mean, I think that, what would I say about that? I mean, I would say that, you know, if you're gonna clean it and you're gonna, you know, put it in one of these UV cases or something like that, then you're all set.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So can we now that product, the Reverb, was like a massive hit. I don't know like how you guys feel about it, but, you know, all of the people I talked to that used it loved it. I put it on the first time, you know, with zero latency, and I was blown away by not only the resolution but the comfort of it. And, you know, I'm a bit of a critic, right? And so I don't say I love something unless I actually love it. And I did love it. It like quickly became my favorite headset. And
Awesome.
and so how did you guys feel about, like, Dreamscape adopted it, zero latency adopted? I'm sure other companies did. How did you guys react to that, and what was it like?
Well, we were really excited. You know, what we had, you know, 3 specific things that we set out to do when we announced that product. And, you know, based on the feedback from customers in location-based entertainment, as well as in training and in education and product development. And it was specifically, we wanted to create a product that had higher resolution. We knew, you know, for all the great creators in location-based entertainment, they really wanted they wanted the content to look great. You know, so that was one. If you're in product dev, you want, and you're looking at the quality, and you want to really see, you know, do that product design review. You want to be able to see what you're seeing more clearly. If you're in training, there's probably actually text on the screen, and so you want to be able to read that text. And so that was a very strong focus of ours. And so, you know, we came out with the resolution 2160 by 2160, you know, highest highest of all major headsets out there, 2x some of the other headsets out there in the market. So we were super happy about that, and still to this day, I think we still sit at highest resolution among all the major headset companies. Yeah. So we're really proud of that. And then the other two things, one you mentioned is the ergonomics and having a comfortable headset. So Reverb G1 was 1.1 pounds. So a lot of the weight is on the back of your head, so you don't have that sort of forward that forward motion that some headsets put on you, and that pressure on the back of your neck. And then third, we just wanted it to be easy to use. And so since it's inside out tracked, it's fairly easy to use. So we were thrilled. We were thrilled when, zero latency, and then Dreamscape that you mentioned, So Real, a bunch of the other players in Europe and around the world, Asia, they started using Reverb G1, and as well as across other industries in training and enterprise and various other industries. Education did pretty well too, so that's where we are today, and we only teased, so we didn't give a lot of information, and I know you're going to try to get more information out of me, but you're not going to be successful, so I'm just going to start to say that right now. But we did tease that we have a new partnership, HP plus Valve, which is super exciting, plus Microsoft is we're working on.
Oh, where'd you go?
Well, I'm showing you can you see the picture behind me?
Oh yeah. We actually have we have the teaser video we can we can throw up here for people.
Okay, cool.
So it's it's a bit, I'm peeking down at it because it's below me. So it's a bit mysterious. And so I think the thing that people logged onto is the Valve thing. And so, I think the thing people were wondering is the Valve thing. Like, you were already working with Microsoft, and you were already, but then you said Steam, but you were already working with Steam. And so what's going on there? Come on, you got to give us something.
Wait and see, coming soon.
So I heard May, I heard that there's going to be a May announcement and then a September launch. Is that anything you can talk about, or?
Sounds like you're reading a lot of blogs and a lot of conspiracy theories. I don't know.
I'm on Reddit. Digging.
Reddit?
I'm digging on Reddit all the time.
You're deep on Reddit?
Actually, I saw it was actually a dealer website in Europe that had it on their page saying that they would be able to take orders in May and delivery in September. So might not have been an official dealer. No comment, huh?
There's all sorts of things that people say. So
I'm getting nothing.
What I'll say is we're super excited about the partnership with Valve and Microsoft, and stay tuned for more information. Right, and if you want to sign up for notifications, go to hp.com/reverb, and you'll get notifications first on what's happening.
Yeah. Can you say if it's going to work with Lighthouse?
No, I can't say.
Okay, you can't say anything. It's going to be better than the G1.
It's going to be really awesome. It's going to be really exciting.
It's going to be better than the G1.
More information will come. What?
It's going to be better than the G1, which was amazing, or the Reverb 1, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we like with every product, especially in emerging technology, there are amazing things about a product like the resolution, and then there's things that people said, oh, this could be better, that could be better. Some of it because it helped to have it out in the field and get more customer feedback, and then other things because the technology continues to improve, and so we're able to do things that we couldn't do, X years ago when we originally created Reverb G1.
All right, cool.
So it'll be exciting. So stay tuned. Thanks for all the questions.
Now we've got, by the way, like the comments are streaming in. We've got people somebody from Portugal, from Prague. Like, let us know where you. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Tarji. I was talking to the person in Portugal.
Yeah, let us know where you're coming in from, and also if you're coming in from my group, make sure you post your name in the comment because I'm not seeing the names of groups. We want to acknowledge you for being here. We see you, and so somebody's asking about the mask, like the part that goes to your skin, an ability to easily replace those and swap those. Is there any talk in a product roadmap about that, and how is the pandemic affected HP's roadmap, if at all, and can you talk about that?
Well, I can talk about on Reverb G1. We have two different types of gaskets. So we have the gasket that's intended for consumers to use at home, and so you would use it, primarily if you're the main user that uses it at home, or maybe you're only sharing it, with somebody in your household. And that has kind of like a more fabricy, kind of gushy material.
Yeah.
And you could take it out and you can throw it, if you're playing a lot of Beat Saber or a lot of whatever you're doing at home. And you can take it out and throw it in the wash and clean it and then put it back on. So that in the G1, that's what's targeted for home and for consumer. And then in the G2, we have a UV gas. Not in the G2. That was in the enterprise version of G1. Yeah, that wasn't actually a slip. That was just confusion. So into the enterprise version of the G1, we have the PU leather that you would use in an environment where various people might use it, where you would, you want them to just, it's easier to clean down. So that's how we're handling, that's how we've been handling it now. I think that, like we talked about earlier, there's lots of still best practices to learn, just thinking about, what makes the most sense for the future, and how are we conveying to the audiences that they're safe in the environment, and then that the venues are taking care of them and having their best interests at heart.
Yeah, cool. And so somebody's asking about so before we move on to that, are those face masks like for an arcade? Are they affordable? They can have multiples, and they could give one to each person and then clean them at the end of the day and then recycle them back into the operation? Or are they rigid on there and they're not really designed to be easily swappable?
You could swap them. You're talking about the PU leather.
Yeah.
Up till now, just cleaning down the PU leather seemed to be, satisfactory.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see in the future if that's how people go, or they end up wanting to switch out various ones throughout the day.
Yeah, somebody was asking about magnetic clips, so I assume that's why they're saying if it was easy to swap out, you might be able to buy 500 of them. And
they're fairly easy to swap out in general.
All right, cool, yeah. Awesome, good to know. So Mike from Grimsby, UK is here. We've got somebody here from Germany. I wonder if that's Life or somebody. We've got a lot of fans in Germany, so let us know who you are. So somebody's asking, what's your opinion of the most powerful benefit of VR for society?
That's a good question. That's like the Kent By question, the ultimate he asks at the end of every podcast. Well, okay, so this is how I see that question. It's a good question. So, and why I work in this field, actually. So the way I see it, and the way that most big technology companies see virtual reality, augmented reality, immersive computing, is that this is the next wave of computing. And so, we started in the mainframe, and then we moved desktop, and now we're in mobile. And a company like HP that's been around 81 years has, been through all of those different waves. And that the next wave of computing is going to be the immersive wave of computing, right? And so, and we're in the very early stages of this next wave. And so, it's a combination of VR and AR and, AI and data science and edge. And we also do a lot of 3D printing, so that all, that's kind of the way we look at it at HP. But in general, immersive computing is that next wave. And so so those of us in this industry right now, so probably most of the people viewing, all of us that are working in this, we're building what that next wave is going to be. And so we're building the products, we're building the content, we're building the UI, the UX, all of what that wave is going to be. And for me, why it's so important is, when I look back and I think about how those earlier waves were built, they were built probably by a fairly homogeneous group of people. And so, in some cases, because of that, I think some of the issues that we have around privacy, around trolling, some of those might have been different had more people from different backgrounds and different life experiences been in the room when they were creating the industry and creating the products from the get-go. And so for me, it's really important that we have a representative group of people creating this industry, so that we end up with products and experiences and content that caters to the best of society and the most representative of society, and really creates technology that works for all of us, and that unlocks our superpowers and enables all of us across the board.
Yeah, great answer. Whoa, we got some feedback. Not sure where
I
it's
hear you.
coming from. Okay, cool. It's gone. And so let's talk a little bit about other areas that you're working in, like beyond location-based VR. By the way, I just want to say hi. Life did chime in. Kelvin Tan up in Vancouver. Somebody's watching from the Netherlands. Said it's the Being Virtual late night show over there. It's early morning show here.
It's just like we're just like Trevor Noah, right? And John Oliver, like here.
Yeah, I actually watch Trevor, and I aspire to be as good as he is in front of the camera. He's
amazing. He's amazing.
So good.
He's so funny. So good.
And so,
I love the, again, the agility and flexibility in the way they're doing the shows. I don't know if you saw it Saturday Night Live this weekend. That was their second sort of YouTube-esque skits shows, but, really just watching how, the world has been agile and flexible and pivoted and, just in so many cases made the best out of what they could in the current situation.
Well, actually, so I was watching the NFL draft, which went online, and National Football League, for those of you that don't follow American football, and
American football,
not proper football, which we bastardize into something called soccer. And anyway, but they did that from home, and they did this massive virtual event. And they were, all of the team owners and the coaches and the general managers were live streaming from their homes, and it was a fascinating thing to watch. And so you and I both just presented at Laval Virtual, and virtually, right? We were going to be in France, and unfortunately didn't get to go. But what was that like? And you do a lot of speaking and a lot of moderating, so conferences are going virtual. What was it like for you as a presenter to do this in the virtual environment versus doing it live?
It's a good question. I do a lot. I mean, even before we were shelter in place or staying at home, I had certainly moderated panels and as an avatar in alt space or given talks in platforms like that, and did a lot of interaction in Rec Room or VR chat. The upside, I think, of interacting that way is, you can choose how your avatar looks that day. You can change, you can change how it looks. You can interact. You have full body interaction. So there's kind of like three different buckets, right? There's like actually physically going to the place and all that comes along with that. Which you're there live. You get to have these amazing experiences of going to this great town. I assume Laval would have been a great town to go to in France, and so many other places around the world that we've gotten to go to and have that interaction, which is amazing. What I think is interesting right now about the way that we're doing conferences and events is that everyone around the world has greater chance to have access to those events, right? It's not only the people who either themselves or their company can afford the plane ticket and the hotel and the conference fees, but many of these events are either free or fairly low cost. And as long as you're willing to either put on a headset or sit in front of a computer and tune in, then you have access to the speakers. You can ask questions. You can make a presentation. As a presenter, you get to you have more ability to tap into more people to do presentations. So I think that is a fairly interesting thing. And I think that probably the outcome, even after we come out of this, is that there will be, in some ways, some potentially less business travel. As we've discovered that you can, there's so many things that you can do fairly efficiently without traveling. And I love to travel. I've been to 70 plus countries in my life. So, but I think that we're going to see, businesses look, and as we're also probably going to be in, a downturn for a bit, economically. And so I think we're going to, we may see, even as we come out of this, we may still see platforms, like Engage and Verbella and, even Zoom and all the, Crowdcast and all of these others, continue to be the platforms of choice instead of always flying to the places.
Yeah.
But, as a presenter, I enjoy that sort of, and it's not a total democratization. How they always talk, like when YouTube came about, everyone talked about democratization of access and content and taking out that middle person. I think this, having this technology is still not fully democratized, based on the price points and, some even internet access. But I think I do think that having more people having access to some of these things is really great. I mean, for example, last weekend I attended the Tribeca Film Festival, which I go to every year, and I would have gone to this year, but I was able to attend it, from the comfort of my home. And so the numbers I heard for the number of people who actually viewed the content are way more than would be able to go through the exhibits, in a normal environment. And so that is, potentially it's interesting. Just how do we keep reaching more people?
Which is great for creators, right? I mean, what you want in creators, you want audience, and being able to tap into a global audience in these platforms is really powerful for creators, and that's going to be a game changer for them.
Yeah, and then I think that the other thing that's interesting in these is like in Verbella, for example. I changed my look at one point, and so, but both in that platform in particular, it is fairly like professional look and fairly, like you kind of look like myself or some, some version of myself. And then there's other platforms where, the actual avatar is much more fantastical, and so it's like you are a fox or you're a hot dog or you're a microwave or you're a ninja, Oh, you're a potato?
A potato, yeah. There's a snap filter where somebody showed up to a CEO showed up to a Zoom meeting as a potato.
I saw that. That was funny. Yeah. I don't think potato is my fantastical one, but good to know. I think there's a lot there, and there's just a lot that the industry is continuing to move forward, and around how are we represented digitally, around digital twins, around they're just around interacting with AIs. There's been a lot of progress already, and there's going to continue to be a lot of progress in that area.
Yeah. Now, one of the things like the Engage platform versus Verbella was pretty like stock avatars, where Engage you get to upload a photo and it maps your photo to the avatar, which makes it really easy to identify you. And it was something that I liked about the Spaces Terminator experience that they built, where you could map your face to the Terminator, so you knew if we were playing together, I knew who you were. I didn't have to look for a name or remember the color of your avatar. And so, how do you feel about like when you're an avatar in those virtual environments? And Engage you were in VR? Were you in VR in Engage?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Verbella was really 2D, right? I mean, I couldn't find a way to do that.
You could go in headset in Verbella, and some people did. Okay. But I think the majority of the people who I talked to in Verbella did not go in headset, but you definitely can.
What, so,
I think Verbella I think Engage is created to do in VR, and they also have the ability to go in 2D. I think Verbella is created to go in 2D, and they also have the ability to go in VR. Yeah. And so that makes a little bit of a difference in terms of where the better experience is.
Yeah, and for you, where was the better experience? Like as somebody who's done so many events, and why?
Yeah, I don't know if I think about it like that exactly. I mean, there's so many different platforms, and each of them have something that that they're better at. And, and so which is why, they're differentiated today. And so I don't know that I have a specific preference in terms of, I think this one's better or that one's better, or it's more to me about like, are you creating an environment where you want to maximize, the experience for people who are going to come in a desktop or a mobile, and that they're still going to feel like they're having a great experience, and so, or you're talking to a community where the majority of the people actually have headsets, and then you want to create an experience where, they're going to have that full body presence, they're going to have all of that immersion, they're going to interact with objects in a different way. whether it's social VR or meeting collaboration, or you're actually doing like product design or product review, or you're learning, for about your biology class, or you're training to be a surgeon or a peri-op, nurse. And so I think it's more about what is the right platform for that use case.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
And so the cost of VR with all-in-one headsets is coming down. You guys haven't done anything in that space yet. Can you talk about how you're viewing all-in-one versus the high-end, desktop and tower and backpack based stuff?
Yeah. Sure. I think, kind of similar to the last answer, it's about use case, right? So today, if you want to have a really high resolution experience with, that has very high performance, that requires high GPU, then it makes sense, to have a tethered experience, either, tethered to the backpack that still gives you that very high performance experience, but with the mobility, or, if it's something that you're like an architect that you're going to be at your desk, then it makes sense to be tethered that way. But I think that there's some great products in the standalone side that, certainly have their use case too. But, like all companies, we're all looking at, continuing to iterate on the tech, and, roadmaps for hardware are lengthy. And so, we have plans, many years out of different things we're going to be doing. So, just assume that we're looking at all good things, and there'll be a lot of great things coming. Yeah, we're super excited about the different partnerships we have coming, the different products we have coming, and more to come on that.
Yeah, I think for companies, if they want to get employees in VR, or conference providers, like, the accessibility from a cost standpoint of the equipment has to come down. And we've been talking about, for like CinemaCon, for example, is like a $1,800 ticket. Could they include a $500 headset in that in the first year as a way of getting people in VR and having those experiences? It's not going to be, if you have to buy a backpack or a desktop and a headset, and you spend $3,000 or $4,000, that's not going to happen. But I think that, the mobile all-in-one headsets are going to wind up, companies are going to be looking at those saying, how do we use that to drive into these in-home setups? Because I don't think work from home is going away. Like, I've talked to too many CEOs who are like, oh my God, we didn't think this was going to be as good as it is, but we love it, and we're trying to figure out how much we can save.
It's been interesting. And I've talked to some VR CEOs too, who are, not going to use their space anymore, or just keep a very small space wherever they were, and just, to hold for meetings, but let people work from home. I mean, there also will be advancements on the computer side. So most, unless you specifically have a computer for gaming or for VR or for some very, intense workflow pipelines, like, architecture, engineering, construction, or, media production, you may not have a computer that can run VR today.
Yeah.
But that will also shift, as we move forward too. So when the norm of, a computer norm may become VR capable, then that also shifts the economics of and the value proposition.
Yeah. Cool. So what are you seeing on the horizon that you're excited about? Not necessarily HP, but Joanna. Like, what's coming over the horizon that people might not know about, or they might not be thinking about, or they are?
What I would say I'm excited about today. I am really excited about VR collaboration. I think I joined HP a little over 2 years ago, and our view of what the future was going to be was around VR collaboration, where it made sense for people to come together and interact with a 3D object, or, a spatial object, either to review it, to design it, to create it, or, where it made sense to do that because the retention for, whether it's for enterprise or whether it's for educators, is so much higher. And then, that interactivity and presence. And so because of the situation we're in now, we're seeing some of that, that become accelerated, and people, pulling that towards them a lot faster. And, I think, collaboration or multi-user will become the norm. It isn't quite the norm yet, but it certainly will be. And so that also is accelerating. And so I'm excited about that. About, we know there's tremendous ROI for businesses and to use VR, and I feel like that. Yeah, we're just seeing a lot of acceleration, whether it's from universities who are, trying to figure out, well, how am I going to hold my anatomy lab in September? They're, not even for this semester, right? This semester we're already basically in May, but like, what are we going to do in September to make sure that we can hold our anatomy labs for the medical students? And how to, let's prepare today for virtual reality. What are we doing with our media students? Let's prepare today to make sure that they have all, that they're fully equipped. So, once everyone is fully equipped, and they can all have those amazing, amazing experiences that up to now only a small subset of us have been lucky enough to have, like you, Bob, like me, because we've been lucky enough to travel around the world and get to go see those experiences. And so I'm really excited just about the spreading of, and that the other people are going to get to come and interact as well. So that's what I would say I'm excited about, on just, in the overall, that, this is such an amazing, there's so much creativity, there's so much amazing work that's being done. And I'm just excited for more and more people to have access to that.
Yeah.
And then on the HD side, there's been a lot of projects that the team has done, even not even on the VR side, but just I've been really excited and proud of how the overall company has approached where we are today. Right away, some of the team from the model lab, you tapped into our 3D printing technology and partner network to create masks and door handle openers and ventilators and respirators and like get those out to healthcare workers. So that's been really great to see, how our technology is being used for good with that, with there, and really fast. We have a program called HP Refresh. Something like 30% even in the US of families either have no PC, or they have one PC that then they're sharing through the whole family. And so now when the parents are online to work, the kids are online to go to school, they don't have enough access. And so we have a program that enables software to refresh old PCs, whether they're HP or not. So you can turn, any old PC into something that's like, remote learning capable. So that's an exciting project. And then we also have something called Z Central that we're offering for free, which allows people to remote into their workstation at work. So you don't have to be there to be able to access, that full power of your workstation. So it's been, I would say, heartening to see how, the way that the company has been agile, and also the way that my company, as well as many, many other companies, are very much like people first, and let's make sure that you're taken care of, your families are taken care of, your safety and, health is priority. And then how do we actually use all this technology for good and to help humanity and to serve humanity, which I think is what it's all about.
Yeah. So I got to ask you about this one. So because you talked about like companies being about people first, and then there are companies who seem opportunistic about this and using this to mask massive layoffs and repositioning. And I'm talking about Magic Leap, which in the last week or so basically said they're shutting down their consumer stuff, and they did a massive riff, and they're going to focus on enterprise. But I know a lot of the people that were let go were actually focused on enterprise sales. And so, I'm curious if you have any thoughts or contacts there. I know a lot of people are really, the people that were working there were really passionate about what they were doing. And I do think Magic Leap was doing amazing stuff. Like I'm not one of the Magic Leap haters. I actually feel like people say, oh, they spent all that money. They were inventing technology. Inventing technology is not cheap.
Inventing a whole space, right? I mean, well, I feel for all the 1,000 people that were laid off. I think first and foremost, Magic. I respect Magic Leap. I respect the people that were there. I respect the talent, the level of talent, and what they were creating, and passion. All the amazing people they brought together. I also think that it's such a talented crew. They'll find their next roles. Maybe some more quickly. Some might take a minute and have an adventure and take a beat to figure it out. I think it's certainly a hard thing to go through, and it's certainly a hard thing to go through in this environment. But I trust that they're just such a great crop of amazing people that they'll find other homes, hopefully still in our industry or in adjacent industries where they go on and keep creating magic. And that the people who are still there, and there's still many people who are still there that will go on and keep living and creating creating the vision of what Magic Leap is about in the first place. So
yeah, if you're a leaper, I highly recommend watching the documentary on General Magic, because that company went through some really early stage similar things, and the people that left that company went on to create almost everything that we're using right now from a technology standpoint. And so
yeah. I have to watch that doc. Ted Schultz always talks about it. I have to watch it.
Yeah,
and also what I saw last week that was nice was that on such a hard day with so many people negatively impacted, on all the social media. So all the other companies were posting, from gaming and in on the hardware side and social media, in animation. So many people were posting, we have these jobs available. We have these jobs available. If you're interested at all, I got emails from people asking to get connected into some people at Magic Leap. Because they're looking to hire people around AI or different things. And so it was heartening to see the industry come together to recognize the talent that is and was at Magic Leap, and to try to help help land that talent in their next adventure. So that was really great to see.
Yeah. So if anybody's got any more questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. Let us know who you are, where you're coming from. And I have one last question. So you've got a good global perspective. You've been around the world. Different countries are opening up at different rates. I know China went through this early. Have you seen anything in a certain market that is where their response to the COVID situation is farther along than it might be in the West, and what might we learn from that? Is there any early signals that you can share with us?
I mean, I know that, for example, in my company, none of our U.S. offices are open right now, and I don't think any of our European offices are open. Whereas our Taiwan office is back open again, our China office is back open. I think people are still, maybe some people are, they're not going in with the same regularity that they went in prior to this, but the offices are open and people are welcomed back. In terms of lessons, I'm neither a medical professional nor a virologist, nor
have any of the VR arcades? I think there's businesses open yet. Like, have you seen any of them come back in, like in China, which was an early adopter of VR? Is any of that happening yet, or is it still too early?
Are they looking? Well, I know, for example, some of the LBEs that we work with, their teams are back on site. Their developers are back on site. They're iterating on kind of what we talked about earlier. Next product, next game. I don't believe that the doors are open to public yet. As far as I know, I don't believe so.
Okay.
So we'll see. What happens and when that comes fully back. But I think there's some lessons. I think your neighbor, right? Didn't New Zealand say they basically got rid of coronavirus and practically entirely already?
No new cases. I think they clamped down really hard, and they're talking about now starting to pull back a little bit. But again, I don't think anybody's seen any, like the entertainment stuff. We haven't really seen come back online anywhere in any scale yet, and so
no. I think Texas and Georgia may be some of the first examples that we'll see what happens. Which I think Texas is opening this week, and Georgia started to open some stuff, I think, last week already. So we'll see.
Yeah, cool, awesome. Well, I want to thank you. Any last words?
Thank you to everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for everything you're doing for the industry. And I know, it's I would say it's a lot of ups and downs for people right now, right? And so, reach out. There's so many of us, in this industry together, and all looking for new ideas, all looking to how do we support each other, how do we connect, how do we help each other brainstorm and get through, and get to the other side. So just time. I think I would say a time to be creative and thinking about each our own individual paths, but also a time to stay connected.
Yeah. One last question. George is asking if he can order HP headsets now. I assume the Reverb 1 is still in stock and available.
Yeah. Where is George?
Cool. And do they order that right from the HP website or through channel, or do you care? Or?
Oh,
okay.
No, it's available. Where country is George in?
George, where are you?
But generally, for G1, you should be able to order on hp.com and then in pretty much in any country, and then or you can order
Amazon,
from channel.
Does Amazon carry it? And yeah.
I mean, Best Buy. You should be able to get it all different places.
Yeah, cool, awesome.
And definitely channel as well.
Awesome. Well, I really thank you for everything you're doing and for joining us and spending some time and sharing your insights, which are always.
Thank
really
you for doing the show. It's really, I'm sure it's a lot of work for you, but it's really fun to watch. And you've had some amazing guests, and I've learned some interesting things from watching it. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, Greg Catano, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. George is in Prague.
I miss you, Greg. I miss you.
We do. And we've got some amazing guests this weekend. I've got an interview with Dave Snowden, who created the Cynefin model of managing complexity. He's a TED speaker. He's one of the leading minds in managing and complexity. So tune in Friday for the live weekly show, and then we'll have we're going to keep bringing on new amazing guests. So stay tuned, and we'll see you at beingvirtual.tv. Joanna, I love you.
Love you too. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Kylie.
Pleasure. Stay safe. Have fun in Miami.
You too. Stay home.
All right. Yeah. Stay home. Bye.